I've just about had it with companies like Gibson. I literally just about had it. I'll be doggone if I'm ever going to give them another penny of my money. The ones that are run by freaking and completely, utterly idiotic people, I simply have no patience for that nonsense anymore. I've spent enough money on all of this over many decades, and I tell you what, I'm sick and damn tired of it. I've just had enough. And Gibson, you're on my chopping block. I love this guitar. Absolutely love it. I've got a couple more Gibsons hanging out in here. I love the guitars. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, buddy. It's not your fault. It's the idiots who are in charge of creating these beautiful, wonderful instruments. It's the morons who think they know what they're doing, who will completely destroy a legacy, a supremely equal legacy in many respects, and that's Mesa Boogie. You probably already know by now that some time ago Gibson bought Mesa Boogie. They agreed to keep Randall Smith on, and Randall Smith, if you don't know that, was the guy who created all of these amazing, off-the-chart, freaking amazing guitar amplifiers. There's been very few like him. There have been a lot to emulate what he's done, but he was one of the guys who broke the ground for new territory for us players. Now, I don't blame Randall Smith. He worked hard his whole life building up a company, right? And he probably at some point, I think he agreed in his mind he was going to stay on for several years and then eventually turn it over to Gibson to continue running it. And I'm sure he had a lot to say about the direction going forward. My guess is that's where the disconnect happened. I have no inside information on this, and I don't think we'll ever honestly know because a lot of contracts and things are signed that kind of make you zip it, at least for a reasonable amount of time. But here's what I can confidently say at this point. Gibson is going to absolutely destroy the name Mesa Boogie. I'm from a small town in Kentucky, just south of Lexington, Kentucky. And as a young teenage player, we'd go to Wilcutt Guitar Store. Wilcutt's is still in business today, and if I'm not mistaken, I think they're still the #1 seller of PRS guitars in the world. Wilcutt's was amazing. Bob Wilcutt himself, yes, I spent many of hours talking to Bob over the years and being inspired by him. Bob played a Mark IV. That was always my fantasy guitar. I would go into Wilcutt and I would see these beautiful cabinets. Bubinga and some other things, these beautiful works of art from a cabinetry standpoint. That tan wicker front on the front of it. And that Mark IV, for all its bliss, it was a fantasy instrument to me. That was back when you couldn't go into a Guitar Center or stores like that and buy Mesa Boogie. You had to go to one of their dealers. And to become a Mesa Boogie dealer, you had to have a very special guitar store like Wilcutt. I bought a lot of guitars and a lot of amps over the years from Bob Wilcutt. And he was always a huge advocate for Mesa Boogie. I bought my first Mesa Boogie amp from him. The best I could afford was a Studio 22. Was it the best Mesa ever built? No. But boy, I loved that amp. And I've owned numerous Mesa Boogies over the years. Numerous Mesa Boogies. I have complete awe and joy and love just at the thought of playing and owning Mesa Boogie guitar amplifiers. Other than Marshall and Fender, who else out there has changed the face of music the way Mesa Boogie has? It started out with the Mark II. I think it was the Mark II C++ or one of those. I never really got a chance to play that amp, but I, of course, know of its reverence. And then on to the legendary Mark IV that held its own for almost 30 years, it seems like. That guitar was in production for a very long time and held its value the entire time. Still sought after to this day. Then, of course, comes the Mark V. Now, I own a Mark V, and I love that guitar amplifier. But let's don't forget the one that really changed metal music, and that's the dual rectifier. These amps have changed the entire landscape of guitar tone. And there's one man who did it all. Yes, of course he had his team, but the leader has to have a vision, a non-compromising vision of achieving the best tone that you can achieve. And that's Randall Smith. Then comes Gibson, right? Well, let's look at Gibson's reputation. They started out great. I mean, they started out really good. And then, of course, the 70s hit, and they made pretty much boat anchors, and quality control started going downhill. They started to recover a little bit in the 80s, then the 90s came around, and they took a little decline again. If you go onto online forums, the biggest complaint you'll get about Gibson to this day is their attention to detail sucks. Now all they've done is turn it into, we're going to suck your money out of your hands by grossly overcharging for their instruments. I thought this was going to happen when they bought Mesa Boogie. I was worried about it. Anybody who's seen the past can see the future. And they know that Gibson's going to destroy that brand. How do you fire the man who created it all? How do you do that? Because you're worthless pieces of utter and complete garbage. You simply don't know what you don't know, but you think you know everything. So frustrating. It's so disappointing. It's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. This is a sad day for the guitar community. This is a sad day for music lovers. It's just a sad day. When I got the word yesterday from Brent, thank you for reaching out to me and letting me know about this. Brent is a viewer of my channel, and we communicate back and forth on a personal level. He's trying to create his own channel. When he's ready for me to do that, we'll do a collaboration on here so I can get a chance to help him grow that channel. But as best I can, I'm still trying to grow this channel. It's unfortunate. We have seen this time and time again. PreSonus is not the same as it was before Fender bought it. Now, Fender's kind of not really got involved too much in this. They've bought a lot of brands and they've done away with a lot of brands. But I would argue some of those brands they bought, they shouldn't have bought. They were kind of dying technologies, but that's a different discussion for another day. But Fender, I hope you're paying attention. You other U.S. manufacturers, I hope you're paying attention, because this stuff matters to people like me and the people watching this video. And if you're so stupid and so arrogant to not understand that, how in the world did you get your freaking job? I have no doubt the people working for Gibson are hard-working, deeply passionate, deeply caring of the product that they make. Unfortunately, your leadership is total trash, and you don't have any control over that. These guitars are great guitars. I'm not going to get rid of them, but I can tell you this for sure. I'll never buy another damn one for the rest of my life. I won't do it. I will never do it again. Because the greed and the total idiocracy that exists in corporate level in too many of these corporations, you never learn, do you? You never learn. And that, for all of us, is unfortunate. But it is a harsh reality. See you later.